Hello. It is now time for chapter 12 of the Curatage Ghost. If Luka tried to crawl through and what just happened, he would be squished, said Esme with characteristic bluntness. This accurate observation prompted the girls to think of a new strategy. As they were discussing this, Amelie's phone rang. It was only Judy being anxious to know what was going on. Amelie gave a truncated, non-ghost version of recent events, stressing that Luka was fine and that they should have him out soon. Esme came up with a macabre plan: to raise the stone and then jam some skulls underneath, and then raise it a bit more and use the long bones, the tibias and the femurs, to prop it open so Luka could crawl out. This, in the circumstances, seemed as good a plan as any, so the three of them collected a significant pile of skulls and strong-looking bones, placing them near the slab. They decided that Amelie and Esme, who were probably the strongest, would pull on the chain and that Yaya would wedge the bones. Luka, meanwhile, was as miserable as sin. Now sitting totally in the dark, having narrowly avoided crushing his hand, let alone his torch. The stone had just caught his little finger, and that was now hurting a lot more than he'd anticipated. He assumed the girls would try whatever it was they were trying again, but naturally hoped for more success this time. Was it his imagination, or was it going red and getting warmer? It was definitely going red. You could hear crackling, like branches burning, and it was definitely getting warmer, even hot. He was no longer cramped in the little stone trap. He was outside. There was the castle, but not the ruined one. And he could see people standing round, wearing funny dress, and soldiers in old-fashioned armour. But he could not see them very well because of the smoke. This was making him cough. His feet were aflame, literally. Pain shot through him. He was burning! Burning! He screamed! And then suddenly the vision broke, and you could hear Yaya shouting at him. For a moment or two, he was not sure what was real, but the redness faded, the warmth went, and the pain in his little finger came back. He was sweating. Yaya was saying something like, "It's all right, it's all right, nearly there." He realized that he must have been screaming out loud. Yaya and the girls had done a good job. The slab was now firmly wedged with more than a dozen bones, and the gap was enough for Luka to crawl out, which, after getting his senses together, he did. Mind you, the moment he was through, the bones just seemed to evaporate, and the slab slid back down. "Whew, that was close," said Yaya, clasping her brother in unbridled affection, for once. Luka knew it wasn't really that close. It was the way it was. He was trembling from head to foot. Yaya assumed it was from the closeness of the escape, but Luka was trembling at the memory of being burned to death. "Let's get out of this tunnel," he said with squeaky-voiced feeling. "There's something in here that doesn't want us. We need to get out and close it up. Come on, you'll have to lead us. I haven't got a torch." The journey back seemed steeper and slippier. There was water running down that had not been obvious on the outward journey, and when they got back to the Curatage stairs, Luka paused. He didn't climb up, but went on up to the little chamber, pulling open the now unlocked door. He reached for the old crumbling banner and tried to pull it down. "What are you doing?" asked Amelie. Luka was not 100% sure himself, but it was as if he had orders. "I must take the banner. I can't explain, but I don't think we'll ever be able to come down here again, and Sir Max needs the banner. I just know it." Esme reckoned they could, after all, just about squeeze the old chest up the staircase, so they helped Luka very gently fold the fragile cloth and put it in the chest. They looked around, but there was nothing else in the little space that held so much sadness and horror. What was odd was the smell. Not horrible anymore, but roses, fragrant roses. It cheered them all up, and they all felt they must be doing something right. It was hard work getting the chest round the spiral staircase, and at one stage it just about jammed. But in the end, with Grandad pulling from the top and Luka pushing, they managed. Yaya was last up, and behind her was a sliding crash. And then another. And then another. She shone her torch and looked back. The tunnel was blocked by a huge standing stone, much larger than the one they just lifted for Luka, but obviously on the same principle. She turned the torch upwards, and there was another directly before the chamber. From the sound she guessed this had happened along the length of the tunnel. So that was it. Closed. Shut forever. But at least none of them were in it. The grandparents were just so relieved that everyone was back safely, that there was none of the usual recriminations, just a curiosity to hear the tales, particularly Luka's. However, at that moment he was still very shaken. The vision of the fire was still vivid and seemed very personal. Just then he had no wish to talk about it. It was the fire engine that saved him from unwanted interrogation, right outside the door. Well, in fact, just across the road. Esme looked out of the window and shouted, "It's Morton's house! It's in flames! Look! Look!" They did, and it was. "Oh my God! I hope everything is all right," exclaimed Amelie on behalf of all of them. "Especially the cat," murmured Grandad, almost under his breath. "This is to do with us," said Luka quietly, so quietly that no one seemed to hear it first. Esme was first to respond. "Why do you say that? We haven't lit any matches or anything." Luka just shook his head. "Just is. We've disturbed something. And now, well, things are out of balance. I can't really explain it, but they are, and we're involved." Yaya chipped in. "It's to do with the ghost, isn't it? We all saw him in the tunnel. I expect you did too, Luka." "I heard him. Then for a few terrible moments, I was him. Burning in the castle grounds. Not this ruined old castle, but the real one. You know, before it was blown up. It was horrible, and I can't get it out of my mind. And now this." He gestured at the fiercely blazing hotel, flames leaping very high into the air, and that crackling, burning sound. A shiver ran down his back. He felt a hand on his shoulders. But when he looked there was no one near him. End of chapter 12. Bye. Sleep.